Kia ora everyone, and welcome to our second edition of our live author reading. And it's in conjunction with the Great New Zealand Book Trip. Just a little introduction. I'm Siang, just filling in for Ben at the moment, who's having internet problems. But I'm the marketing manager at Hell Pizza, and I'm here today to kick things off and introduce our wonderful author. Then I'll return a little bit later to host a few questions and answers, and also announce the winners of a great book giveaway, which is of course today's book, Kōwhai and the Giants. So it's great to see some schools returning back for more after the first reading. And it's also awesome to see so many new schools joining in this time. Now, as many of you will probably already know, Hell Pizza created the Hell Reading Challenge several years ago as a way of helping and to develop a love of reading amongst the tamariki, and using free pizza as a reward. And we can confidently say that we've done just that, with millions of books already read and many thousands of pizzas devoured by you kids. Now, we hope that these live readings and the Great New Zealand Book Trip give you some extra inspiration to continue your love for reading, especially with New Zealand books. So in saying that, it's time to welcome our author for today, the very talented Kate Parker. Now, Kate is of Ngāti Parawai Ono, Ngāti Mania Poto, English and Greek descent. She grew up roaming the bush and riding horses in the far north of Aotearoa. Kate went on to study theatre in Melbourne, Australia, and then returned to co-found New Zealand's Red Leap Theatre, and she currently works as a visual artist. On a more personal side, Kate lives in West Auckland with her family. She enjoys watching wildlife, being near the forest and the sea, and finding ways to support our planet one seedling at a time. Kōwhai and the Giants is Kate's first book, and was the winner of the 2021 Best Picture Book and Best First Book Awards at the New Zealand Awards for Children and Young Adults. So it's time now to hand over to Kate, and we hope you enjoy the reading, and I'll see you a little bit later on.
Kia ora koutou,
Thanks,
everyone. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so excited to think that you're like in your classrooms or at the library, and you're watching the TV. So I'm here and I'm going to read this picture book, Kōwhai and the Giants. And yeah, I'll try and get the light right, because I've got these, what you can see behind you, these light boxes, and if I go like that, they come into focus and then they go out of focus. But these were first. This is what created the story. So I photographed these and made this book. So we'll read it now. Kōwhai and the Giants. So if you open these pages here, it's for my children and for all children. Big children too. Okay. Kōwhai first appeared from the golden glow of a beautiful flower. She had long limbs and was quick. Kōwhai lived for thousands of years in a great forest of giants. And if I pull in there, you might be able to see Kōwhai. She gathered light to feed the great giants, and their breath gave life to the creatures all around. The giant's breath covered the land. filling valleys and giving voice to strange and beautiful bird songs, a magnificent chorus to welcome the dawn. There were many, many birds, all unique and extraordinary. Might go to see Kōwhai there in the middle with the waka waka. Anybody know what that is? And down here. Then visitors arrived, weary and triumphant, guided by seabirds and ocean swells, their path mapped by stars. There's Kōwhai on the top there looking out. Over time, these visitors became part of the land. Can anyone see right up on top of the ship? There's a little tiny creature. Soon, many more visitors arrived, bringing with them a ravenous hunger. Kōwhai called out, and her voice was mist and wind and rushing wings. You see her down there, it's quite tricky. Hold the book right. She held her arms wide, but she could not stop the great giants from falling. All around, breath and birdsong began fading into memory. Wind blew where it once had not, and mud covered the ground. The hungry newcomers chopped and did not stop until the great giants were almost gone. Only a few giants remained, hidden in the deepest valleys. Feeling Kōwhai's touch, they threw down their seeds. Help us, they whispered. Stretch down through the earth, reach up to the light, gather our seeds, plant them, and we will return. I cannot do it alone, said Kōwhai, and when I speak, my voice is not heard. Fear not, little one, the giant breathed. Each tiny seed holds the promise of great hope. Some do hear your voice, and over time there will be many more. Kōwhai called out, and her voice was the rain and the sea and the cry of a bird. And this is a little section at the end of the book that you can read, and it just talks about planting a native seed. And this picture, actually, I thought I'll put this one in because it made me think about maybe in the future when the giants have grown again, that perhaps instead of walking around on their roots or, you know, like walking on them or holding on to them. And, you know, when lots of people hold on to something, it can actually mean that it gets rubbed and it's maybe a little bit painful, even though you think it's loving. And so then I thought about what if we were able to kind of, you know, view the trees, we're still able to be with them, but we were up and we were slightly separated, but we could still take part of their energy or take part within their energy. And then if you look really closely, there's a little Kōwhai right up there. He's still there. Yeah. And there's my acknowledgement, thanking everybody for helping me. You could really look at it, there's so many. So,
cool.
Yeah,
thank you thank you so much, Kate. You know, it was I think I was saying before, we myself and my family know your book really well, and it's just so awesome to hear it straight from your voice, and it's such, with so many important messages in your stories as well. So yeah, thank you very much.
Ooh. Well, yeah, I guess I can show you a little bit about the process I went through of making the work. And just behind me, I'll bring my speaker with me, but just behind me, I've got these boxes. So this is kind of where it started. And that's the actual box. And then if I go down, I'll just show you them all because it's kind of cool to see. Like I spent hours kind of cutting things out and sticking things and trying to kind of, I don't know, make the pictures. And actually, the pictures are kind of what told me the story. My oldest child is a Kōwhai. And so Kōwhai's presence in my life has kind of, yeah. And when I said, oh, I'm going to call the character Kōwhai, Kōwhai was like, really? Oh, no. I was like, oh, come on, isn't that great?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kōwhai's happy about it now. And, yeah, I thought I could show you a slideshow if you'd like.
Yes, for sure.
Is that a good idea to do that now? I have to share my screen, see if that works, and then I have to click on there. There it is, and then I click on the first one. All right, can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, so when I was first beginning to work out, like I wanted to make something out of paper, and I thought, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll make a stop motion movie. Yeah, and then I started cutting things out of paper and little creatures and characters. And then I got an artist residency through the Auckland City Council, which was based out in the Waitakere Ranges. So I started to think about, I had to kind of incorporate being in the ranges as part of the residency. But I also wanted to make a story that had like an otherworldly feeling about it. And also at the time, the light was coming through my windows. And I was cutting things out of paper and then I was holding them up to the light. And then, oh yes, and here I am looking at photographs of the past. These are photographs from, that's a huia bird. These are photographs, old black and white photographs from the days when they did logging of the Kōwhai forest. That one there's in the Coromandel. And I was sort of taken by these. I felt really moved by the hugeness of these great trees. And I could not believe that we just went and chopped them all down. I guess they were seen as money and you know, people wanted to build things with them. And I couldn't quite believe, like, how could people just burn everything and destroy it? And the forest, when I went out to the Waitakere Ranges, still has a kind of a feeling about it where it's regenerating. It is regenerating, and that's really exciting. This is a train track where they used to take the logs down and along the waterfront. It was quite precarious. It seemed like quite a hard thing to do, to chop these great trees and then try and trundle the trunks out and along the coast and then into a ship. Here's the tram line, the Karekare tramway, just the amount of effort. And then at the same time as doing that, I was trying to work out, what am I going to do? How am I going to work with these ideas? And I just started to cut things out of paper, and I just went and got banana boxes and cardboard boxes and chopped the back out, and I was just mucking around. And I wasn't being too particular about, you know, how good I was at drawing, because I'm not really a drawer. I don't have a background of doing a lot of drawing. So I just kind of followed my nose, really, and kind of had to push myself to really kind of go, oh, come on, you know, get on with it. You can do this. That kind of talk to myself. And then here's Anawhara Beach on Auckland's west coast, and it's in the Great Forest of Te Rewa, Te Waunui or Te Rewa, and this is the Anawhara Beach Kettle House, and that's where I got to stay down there, and I got to stay there for 8 weeks. And the kids came with me, my partner came with me, and we had one running hot water tap, and I had to trundle the kids to school backwards and forwards every morning. It took me about 45 minutes, an hour. And there's me at the table. It's a romantic shot of me cutting things out of paper. But it was kind of, it was just so great, because if you see in the background there, you'll see there's a swing. See, there's a rope swing there. It's quite precarious. I'll show you in a minute. This is the area. So there's great cliffs in this area along the coast. And I got to go with the local park ranger in his ute, and we went out along Karekare Beach. It was quite crazy and wild and rugged. And to see where they took the kauri logs when they brought them down the Pararaha Valley. They had to go through these tunnels. And this is the Pararaha Valley. And that's actually a kauri log that still sort of jams there from, you know, back in the I don't know when they were doing it, probably in the 1920s, 1900 to 1920s, 30s. And there's some kauri trees standing in the forest now. And there's my kids down on, that's Kōwhai there. There's Kōwhai and Lucan. They came with me, and we did a lot of walking on the beach and swinging on the swings. And that's Elsa, my other child. And there's the Kōwhai tree. And the Kōwhai tree out the west coast is a special tiny version. It's got very fuzzy leaves. There's me again working on the boxes and looking out the window. And then out the window is that huge tree, the Pahutakawa tree. And so that's kind of where I kind of wanted, you know, this tree that's in the background behind me, I kind of took inspiration from this tree here. And it's kind of gnarled. And that's, you know, that was the beginning of it. That was how it kind of began. And then it started to turn into a tree. There's the windswept beach. Elsa down on the beach with her pens. And there's my partner, Jeremy, and our cousins. And yeah, it was rainy, and I just drew things, cut things out, stuck it on with blue tack, and yeah, mucked about trying to make things work, held things up to the light. More windswept beach. Yeah. I'm just flicking through this fairly swiftly. things that you can find inspiration from. And then that's what it ended up as, an exhibition that was held up at the Arataki Visitors Centre. And the boxes had an actual light behind them. And since then, I've had to actually re-put them into a new box that's actually got an internal light. So they've had a number of different lives. And there's me on the Kōwhai dieback. I was helping people scrub their feet because there's Kōwhai dieback in the Waitakere Ranges, and people just need to be aware about not traipsing it around the roots. And there's little seedlings that I just popped in the ground because the Kōwhai is only viable, the seed's only viable for a very short length of time, like about 2 or 3 weeks. So you have to plant them quick. And there they are, they just come up as these little shoots. And that could grow into a humongous, humongous tree. And there we are. And then the book. This is the book launch. And there's a Kōwhai, that's another Kōwhai. She was at the book launch. She was like, my name's Kōwhai. And I was like, oh, wow, that's great. And that's my publisher and my designer, Sophia Egan-Reid and Anna Egan-Reid. They helped me create the book. And that's my son, Lucan. And there again is the exhibition that tells the story up at the Arataki Centre. And then that is a different work. So I can talk about that next, but that's sort of the next. I can stop share and I can come back to that if we want to talk about future work.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks so much for that, Kate. Yeah, it's sometimes it's so easy to take for granted what you see and admire with artwork, but you don't really know the whole creative process that has been to get to that point. And seeing your inspirations and seeing those wonderful places that you've been it's just added so much more levels and so much more meaning to your book. So thank you.
Yeah.
So I think we it's probably a good time to do some questions and answers from schools.
Yeah.
So the first one is from Ashburton Intermediate School, class HK3, room 10. And their question was, how did you get the ideas for your illustrations? And that's from Samara. And what is your inspiration, or where do you get your inspirations from? And that's from Sophie, which I think, yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess in a way, it's a combination of things. In a way, it's sort of weird. You can kind of be guided by things that you're interested in, and maybe even little thoughts that might keep popping into your mind. You might keep thinking, I just want to keep drawing. I want to keep drawing a little character. I kept drawing a little person. And so that was something that made me go, well, then I'll just keep drawing this little character. And even the artist residency, I kept seeing the sign that said, put your application in to the artist residency. And it was West Auckland. And I thought, oh, that's close to where we are. Because usually with a residency, I can't do it because I've got children, they've got school. I can't go off down to Dunedin and do a residency that's going to be 6 months or anything like that. So I had to and it was like, it's right here, it's in the West, it's close to you. So and I think that when you, even in the morning too, when you wake up, you'll get little thoughts about things that you feel interested in. Even just before you go to sleep at night, you'll get thoughts about things that you're interested in. And I think that can be really important in helping to drive whatever it is that you're interested in. And and trying stuff, trying physical things as opposed to just drawing or just writing or just, and finding things that you're interested in, because you might not know what it is that you're interested in until you see it. So you really have to kind of sort of keep searching for things that you find fun or intriguing, and yeah, otherworldly beings and different what do you call it? Like magic. Like I've always loved that, so I always think or go towards things like that. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, for the next questions, comes from Southland Girls High School. There's 3 questions. So, how long did it take to write Kōwhai and the Giants? What was the hardest thing about writing a book? And also, what advice would you give to students who struggle with their writing?
You might have to repeat those questions, but anyway, the first one, how long did it take? The pictures, the boxes took me, that I did it in kind of a couple of stages. So I did one round and got to a certain point, like about halfway through the book, and then that took me about 3 months. And once I made the pictures, I sat them all along in a line, and I'd been hearing a little voice going alongside, and I thought, there's definitely words with this. And I've been listening to it and writing things down. But then I sat there and I just looked at them, and each one told me little bits about what they wanted to have written. So I just sat and I put them in different order, and then I moved them around a bit, and then I sat and listened to what it was trying to tell me. I think that something, it sounds a bit kind of weird, but you almost have to really, it will tell you what it wants to be. It will tell you what is necessary, and it will also tell you if you've gone too far or there's too much. Or so it took me a few goes, because I did put in too much, and I put in it went a bit dark, and I kind of went a bit, oh God, the world, the planet is going to be terrible. We're going to have cities, and it's going to have no trees. And I did these pictures, and I was really excited about them. They were like these kind of precarious buildings, but it became a bit dark and a bit like, oh, it's Kate's imagination of trying to do the future. And actually, I don't know what the future is going to be. So, okay, maybe I just leave it. And we just say, okay, everybody's job is the future, not just me to try and think it up. And together, wow, what could happen? And then if you stay optimistic also, because I think that's the only way we're going to get anywhere. We have to be optimistic. And yeah, we're sitting at a point on the planet that's it's a really important moment, because this is the moment. This is we can go down or we could go up. And in my mind, there's only one way, we have to go up. Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
Now, what was the question?
The next question was, what is the hardest thing about writing a book?
Definitely the hardest thing for me was once I had it, and I had the story and I had the words, the hardest thing for me was trying to stay with the feeling that it was going to work, that there would be a book. Because I asked about, and people said no, and it wasn't quite right, and maybe at that point it wasn't quite right. So it's kind of like it's like a process. As you get, you whittle away a few more things, and then slowly it kind of came together like that. So it's almost like having the faith that you can do it, and you just have to hang in there. And at times I cried, and I didn't get funding for certain things, and I just was on the floor and thinking, what's the point? Like I'm trying, and I've made all this stuff, and I've done work so hard, and I've got great intentions, but it's still not, the thing isn't coming back to me. So what is it? So there was definitely a kind of just a gentle finding the right energy, and then it will start to flow. Yeah. So does that answer the question?
Yeah. And then the final one from Southland Girls High is, what advice would you give to students who struggle with their writing?
Oh, that's a good one. I was thinking about this, and I really think don't write. I think go and do something where you are being creative. Maybe you like do some clay work, make the character out of plasticine, do something where it's, or dramatize it, like physicalize it if you have that intent, if you're interested in that, or if it's coming through your body, or get your friends to physicalize it. I was thinking about this because when I was a kid, I wasn't a great writer. It wasn't like a big thing for me. I had a friend, Denise, and she was really good at writing, and she did writing all the time, and she was great at it. What I did do with her is her and I got together, and we did because we had cassette tapes back in the day, and you'd press record play, and you had a blank tape, and you put it in, and you could record yourself. And so we decided to make a haunted house, and the haunted house, you could do like sound effects and noises, and then you could kind of like replay and go over what you did, that if you did a mistake. And we just made this whole thing about walking through a haunted house. And I so remember that, like I was about 9 or 8, and it was just such an exciting thing to do. And I think, and that in a way, you could then write down afterwards what you did, and then you've got your thing on paper, you're writing. And that would happen a lot in theatre as well. When I was making theatre, we would make it. We would go, okay, well, there's a character that we think is this, and we've got a situation that's this, but we don't know what happens, and we don't know what the words are. So let's just get up and have a play. Let's just play, and then we would go, oh yes, that's it. Okay, quick, write down the words, write down the conversation quickly, because it would just come in little snippets. And sometimes I think, just taking it away from, oh God, I have to work it out all in my head and have the whole idea. Sometimes it doesn't come like that, and sometimes other people have to input. So then you can kind of find your way. So don't be disheartened or think that it's not going to happen if you can't figure it out all at once in your head. Like they say in English, and you have to work out all the different characters, and you have to do this and you have to do that and all of that. And if that kind of never really works for you, or you do it but it doesn't really fly, don't be disheartened. It's not that you can't be a writer. It's just that you need other things to help you invent. I think it's finding ways to invent.
Yep. Oh, that's really good advice there, I think. And it kind of speaks to sometimes you just have to step away, let something else sort of kickstart your inspiration and your thoughts, and then, as you said before about writing your own books, and the inspiration will start rolling. That's brilliant. Thank you. Next question is from Hukanui Primary School, room 8. It's good luck with this question, but the question is, what was your favorite book growing up?
Oh, yeah, okay. Didn't have a heck of a lot of, there seems to be a lot more things on offer nowadays. But I used to read things that had otherworldly, like I liked Margaret Mary's, Margaret Mayhew. Margaret Mayhew's The Changeover. I had a girl that could move things with her eyes, and I loved that stuff. But then I also liked Little House on the Prairie, and that was really because of the descriptions of things, the descriptions of food, and the challenge that these kids went through when they were traveling with their family across America, and the things that they didn't have. They didn't have stuff, and I really went, yeah, you can still have fun and not have to have stuff. Yeah. So, yeah. Anything?
Yeah, it's not a favorite books. Any question that involves favorite book is often not the easiest. It's so hard to just pick one. But
yeah, and also I've got so many favorite authors now that are like, Sean Tan and Lauren Child and those kinds of people that make amazing stories that I love reading. Now. Yeah.
Cool. Next question is from Glen Burvey School. And the question is, how much did writing at school help you to be an author later in your life?
Like I said before, I wasn't particularly good at writing. I didn't kind of get like any writing awards, or I wasn't like I was okay, I guess. Yeah, for me, it didn't really happen at school, but that doesn't mean to say, like, when I think I mentioned the, making the haunted house, soundscapes, and other things where you start to kind of invent things like theatre or other creative platforms. And like now with the boxes, I feel like, well, I went into kind of like a bit of visual art, I guess, and I wasn't really a drawer or an artist, so it kind of feels like, in a way, I was sort of a jack of all trades, like just piecing together this creative, and sometimes it's hard to carry the face with that sort of thing. So I think at school, like if you can have fun as much as you can with what you're making, what you're doing, it's really about trying to find the interest. And for the teachers too, it's about trying to springboard, placing springboards that people can get ideas from, going outside the classroom, going into nature, going, describing the feelings, but going into it first to make those feelings come. Like it's really about, finding those igniting points, igniting sparks, isn't it? Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Thank you. So we've probably got time for just one more question. And that question's from Leamington Primary School, room 15. How did you think about writing this particular book, Kōwhai and the Giants? And what was your inspiration? And that's from Kendall.
So as I sort of mentioned before, that it was like I had an intention to make a stop motion movie because I hadn't made one before, and I've seen them and I've gone, oh, that'd be so cool. And I love making little things, like making little worlds, and I love looking at little worlds. Like if you go to the museum and you look at like those little dioramas of, like a Maori pa site and trenches and things like that. And I love all of that. And they're very intricate and they take ages to make, I'm sure. And I thought, oh, yeah, I'll make it, and I'll make it out of paper, and I'll do this and I'll do that. And then as I was starting to do that making out of paper thing and doing those pictures, I started to kind of go, actually, these are still, they're not moving, which was very strange for me because I come from a theatre background. I'm constantly moving. I was constantly making stuff that was always moving, and it was never still, and you could never see it at the end. Like it was always gone. Like the theatre played and then it was over. And so to make something that was still there was quite exciting in a way. And then to photograph it and make a book was, and I can show you a little bit about what I'm doing next if you want. I've got, I can share my screen again just really quickly because I did a project at the Maritime Museum, and it was all about the connection between everything. So that I guess that's what my buzz is next, is the way that we're all interconnected and that we're all kind of, in a way, one thing or one energy or one entity. And so if I go, oh, is it going to do it? Oh, here we go. I'll go back down here. So this is at the end. Go down here, here, and then go there. So then I did a project with Newland Primary School, and the kids and I were doing a light box project. We were going to make light boxes. And this is Huda. She had this idea of what if the earth had a heart in the center and that you could talk to the earth for advice. And so we decided, and then the kids did like their own little light boxes. You can see they've made their light boxes there. Adults need to have more trust in children. That was Odessa. And in the future, no weapons will exist like guns and bombs. And this is like, and then I started to go, okay, well, the combination of working with from the mountains right through to the deep sea, how we're all interconnected, and then using these kids' words to come through. So the students are helping me in a way to write the next story. And I started working with the black and white, you know, just the cutouts again. But something about it I loved, but something about it was also boring me. I was starting to go like, oh, I just want color and I want to do stuff. I want to make things. So I started making, you know, seaweed and all sorts of things. And then we started making kind of physical things. In the future, we will respect all of the animals and the insects and not hurt them. So these are just words that came. Nature is not just the plants and the trees. Nature is the energy of the earth. And I worked with a bunch of artists, Sarah Jane Blake and so on. And, oh, wait. How long is it going to take for you to understand I'm also part of you? And then I started using colour and light and playing with sort of cutting out things. So this is kind of where I'm heading next.
Oh.
And that's the last one. I'm just getting a battery notice. I've got to grab my charger. Sorry. When you're doing a presentation to a whole lot of schools, don't forget to put your battery charger on your computer. There we go. So, ka tangi te titi, the titi calls. Ka tangi te kaka, the kaka calls. Ka tangi ngā tāmure, the snapper calls. Ka tangi ngā korora, the penguins call. Ko mātou ngā tamariki e tangi atu nei. We the children are calling out. Ko ngā mea ora katoa e tangi atu nei. All living things are calling. E ngā kāwana me ngā rangatira o te ao. Whakarongo mai ki a mātou. To the governing rulers of the world, hear our call. Whakarongo mai ki tā mātou tangi I tēnei wā. Hear our cry now. Tihei wā mauri ora. Behold, there is life.
Oh, wonderful. I'm sure I speak for everyone and that's watching, but like we're so excited to see the next thing come off your rank, which that little preview is beautiful. Thank you. Just the last thing before we wrap up today, I just wanted to announce the winners of Kōwhai and the Giant Books. So first winner is Judith Douglas from Hataitai School in Wellington. And the next winner is Sandra Hanks from Kiti School. So thanks everyone for joining. I just wanted to I think the best way to put it is basically someone from St. Joseph's School at Pleasant Point put it really nicely, and their message was for Kate. Kate, we are studying kaitiakitanga and we are learning to become guardians of our earth. We just wanted to say that we're thankful that you are writing about important things with messages for us and those around us. And I think that wrapped up beautifully, how we feel about, your work and what you've done. Thank you very much on behalf of everyone from HAL and from the Book Awards Trust.
Kia ora koutou. I'm so stoked to have done this and to hear you, or not to hear you, to be able to be a part of you hearing me, but I really want to hear you. Just email me if you've got, my email should be around, Kate Parker, or kate@kateparker.nz, and you can email me, you can ask me questions. I'm open, just get hold of me, and I'm available to chat when I've got the moment. I'll respond.
Cool.
Lovely.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. And we'll see you guys all at the next reading. Woo! Ka kite.
Ka kite.